Yeah, on YouTube, I am Sammy Breward. I'm here with Kofi. The rest of the guys will join us, but it was a mind-blowing weekend in the world of sports over the past couple of days. Remember, we were here last Thursday and we had pre-game analysis, looking at how the weekend fixtures were going to pan out. And look, there were lots of surprises over the weekend, um, in the La Liga, in the Premier League, in all the major leagues across Europe. Remember, some teams, were expected to get three maximum points in their fixtures, but football, as we always say, is very, very unpredictable. So we are going to get into the post-match analysis of everything that happened in the top leagues across the world. We would also look at the NBA, what's happening in the NBA. Actually, we'll be starting with what exactly is going on in the NBA. There's some reports of some, stories that are not really, really exciting from the NBA. We'll look into that. That has to do with some betting and then, manipulation of results, especially with the influx of betting companies sponsoring or getting heavily involved in sports. We'll look at that. These reports coming through, we'll dissect how it affects the game, even in terms of football. And so that's interesting to see. Also, with some of the results that happened last night and over the weekend, we know in the NBA, especially in the Western Conference, we saw Lakers kickstart their season with that win over the Sacramento Kings, yes, at the Golden One Center. It was 127 to 120 after they lost their opener. This time around, they won that game and they kicked their season started. The Cavaliers also got that win over the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference. So we're going to look at some of the results over the weekend. Miami Heat, again, yes, they got the results, but they disappointed some people, especially myself, in terms of the number of points accumulated. But it was interesting to see how the weekend panned out. Yes, the Timberwolves as well had that result there again. So Kofi is here with me, but before we get into that conversation, let's take a quick turnaround and we'll get our discussions kickstarted. This is Sports 101 here live on YouTube. Remember, you can like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Let's know what you think in the comment section. Whatever we are discussing, you're invited to join that conversation and let's have a good time here on Sports 101. Remember, the program is proudly brought to you by Nkunim Phones. Nkunim Phones is located here inside Takrady, around the Takrady Market Circle. And so whatever you need when it comes to gadgets, especially with phones and phone accessories, your screen protector of every type, the privacy one, the mate one, the plain privacy protector, every phone case you want, accessories, chargers, USB cords, everything you need, especially the phones itself. If you want flagship phones, if you want mid-range phones, if you want low budget phones, whatever your budget is, just make your way to Nkunim Phones at Takrady Market Circle. It's just adjacent the Bank of Africa at Takrady Market Circle. When you go there, tell them that you heard about them from Sports 101 and you get a very, very interesting discount from the lovely people there at Nkunim Phones. So whenever you get there, you get everything that you need when it comes to phones and phone accessories at Nkunim Phones. Remember, we are also supported heavily by Malibu Restaurant. Malibu Restaurant here at Takrady, around the Harbour area, just behind the Amtrak head office. You go to Malibu, it's a nice ambience there, very lovely ambience. Yesterday I was there as well, and the staff there are amazing. So whatever it is that you need at Malibu, you will get there. Everything refreshment, everything entertainment, and nice ambience. You get everything at Malibu. So in the course of the show, I will tell you some of the exciting packages that Malibu Restaurant has for you. And so just keep it locked. We'll get into that conversation. I'll tell you everything you need to know about Malibu Restaurant. But don't forget, the FPL is also on. Last week was exciting. There weren't too many accumulation of points last week in the FPL, especially when you have players like Erling Haaland firing blank, and so it cost a lot of people points in the FPL over the weekend. But it's not too late to join the Fantasy Premier League. The code is just right there on the screen. Join the Sports 101 Fantasy Premier League, and let's have fun together. Stand the chance of winning an amazing prize at the end of the football season. Kofi is here with me. Kofi, how you doing? How's your weekend?
Very well, very well, very well. Yourself? It was an amazing weekend. Amazing weekend. I have not had this kind of weekend for a long time. A weekend where I get to share with the area boys. The area boys have made wonderful compositions for the rest of the season. You understand? And so it was an exciting weekend from Friday evening.
Yes.
Friday evening, actually, done. From the Lakers, the Luka Doncic show, all the way to Saturday, all the things that happened on Saturday, and then on Sunday, it was amazing. And then this dawn also, we continued with the rest of the action. So it's been an amazing weekend. Especially for me, it's been amazing.
Especially when the team you support wins and the other teams you don't support or you don't like get to drop points.
Exactly. So I think that the universe aligned very well for my choices this particular weekend. And so from Friday to now, I've been jowling. It's been exciting for me. And we are hoping to have an exciting show this morning.
Well, let's start with the NBA. We have a lot of NBA followers that would always want the updates and want the analysis of how the NBA went. We saw the Lakers get their first win over the Sacramento Kings.
Actually, it was second win.
It was a second win, yes, and it was away from home. The Kings played on home court at the Golden One Center, and it just didn't go well for them. It wasn't that much of a difference, but we saw the Lakers exert their dominance in that game, and it was a good result for them. The Timberwolves also another close result also in the Western Conference. We saw them get that good result in that game, and then there were also games in the Eastern Conference. We saw the Cavaliers also get another good result over there. They played the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes. They had one over the Milwaukee Bucks.
Take us through how the weekend.
Well, like I said, the Lakers opened their season with a game at home to the Golden State Warriors, which they lost. You understand? Yes. And then subsequently, they had to play against the.
So it's their third game.
Yes. So they had to play against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Luka Doncic put on a magnificent show. Actually dropped 49 points. You understand?
Yeah.
And not just about the points, but his combination with Austin Reeves, DeAndre Ayton, and all of the guys, Rui Hachimura. Yeah. All of these guys are beginning to play very, very, very well. And LeBron is out injured until the early parts of November, and so when you have LeBron injured, and then you have other members of the Lakers team injured, you definitely are a bit short-handed. But on against the Timberwolves, you realize that the Lakers put on a stellar defense, and then they managed to halt the imposing nature of Anthony Edwards, you understand?
Yeah.
And then their offensive players also came to fore. So you had people like Vanderbilt, and then Marcus Smart. These are fantastic perimeter defenders, and when they are in your team and they are hustling the other opponents for the ball and then forcing them to make all sorts of plays that they are not. You get to. So the Lakers actually blew away the Minnesota Timberwolves in that particular fixture, and that was quite a statement,
That was your second
especially
fixture, okay.
yes, second fixture. And then yesterday, you know what happened was that Luka Doncic also went out.
Yeah.
He's out for a week.
Yeah.
You understand? So the Lakers had to go there without two of their elite scorers. So without LeBron James, without Luka Doncic, but Austin Reeves. What a boy. What a boy.
He's a shooting guard and
What a boy.
Amazing.
What a boy. You know, this boy was undrafted.
Yeah.
So he's not one of those boys who was in the NBA draft and all of that. This boy was undrafted. He's come in and silently he's done his job. Now he's not just an elite scorer. His facilitating skills is something that leaves the whole of the NBA in awe sometimes. Yesterday he dropped 50 plus points.
Yeah.
And you look at, he was just, I think, an assist away from a triple-double. You understand? You look at...
He actually had 51 points.
Yes, 51 points.
51.
And then you look at the numbers that he
9
posted
assists,
yesterday.
11 rebounds.
Exactly. So, and then DeAndre also 18 also put on a magnificent show together with Ryu Hachimura and all of those boys in there. I think that I've always said that in the long term, the Lakers should be fine. You look at this JJ Redick and the kind of revolution that he's brought to the Lakers, the kind of energy that he's brought to the Lakers. In the offseason, the focus was about getting the boys in championship state mode. You understand? As in the physical stature, this physical state, of the boys, and then getting them prepped up for whatever rigors that their bodies have to go through physically for the rest of the season. I think it's beginning to pay off.
How do you think Bronny James would pan out this? What kind of season do you think he would have? Because he hasn't really been that active this season. He didn't get a lot of time against the Timberwolves. Yesterday, I don't think we saw him in that game. And so I am wondering, what exactly is the expectation for
Well,
James?
I mean, you talk to insiders in the Lakers dressing room, they tell you that Moses is a squad player. You understand? And a lot of people have said that, I mean, it's because his dad is LeBron James. That's why he gets to be on the roster. You understand? So he is part of the second unit, technically.
Yeah.
And then if you have that second unit being anchored by Marcus Smart and all of those other guys, Vanderbilt and all of those other people in there, I think that he can grow and then contribute his quota. But I do not think that he's going to be that important for the Lakers. You understand? I think that he's at best a squad player, coming when the regulars are able to do a lot of the work and then they need some minutes of rest on the bench and all of that. I mean, so he understands his role. He came in the game against Minnesota, did whatever he had to do. And then I don't think that in a close game like you mentioned against the Sacramento Kings, the coach was going to risk it. You understand, because he's still learning the ropes in the context of the NBA. So it was always going to be difficult, giving him a lot of minutes. You understand. But one thing that amazes me in the NBA this time is the emergence of the new order. Look, people are not ready for the new order. You know, for so long a time, we've talked about Kevin Durant. For so long a time, we've talked about LeBron James. For so long a time, we've talked about Steph Curry. You understand? And all of those other guys who have lit the NBA for decades and have raised it to a certain height. You understand? Look, guys like Wembanyama, guys like Cooper Flag, the guy with the Mavericks, Dallas Mavericks. And then there's one guy with the Philadelphia 76ers. God. I mean, when you're on the same team with all of these superstars on the Philadelphia 76ers, and then he posted 49 points yesterday. The name just escaped me. Maybe you can help me out with the name.
Is it Quentin Grimes?
What?
Grimes?
No, it's not Grimes. No, he's a young kid. I mean, he just drafted into the NBA.
Okay.
You understand? This was second game.
Check. I didn't see that game.
Yeah, this was actually his second game in the context of the NBA. And you have all of these guys come in and then do their stuff. I think the NBA is in safe hands, because when I see Wembanyama do all the things that he does, when I see Cooper Flag not just being an elite scorer, but a massive facilitator. I mean, in terms of his ball handling skills. And then this kid that I mentioned plays for the 76ers. Yes, I mean, I'm sure you can get me the name before we are done with all of these other things. You understand? So and then you look at the people in the middle belt. You understand? Donovan Mitchell. There's Luka Doncic. You understand? There is Jason Tatum. There are all of these guys who are lighting it up for the NBA. I'm sure the NBA commissioner is excited wherever he is, and they must be getting really excited about some of the things that I'll get the name for you. I mean, so I am excited about the production line of the NBA. You look at all of the talent coming through the lines, and I couldn't be more excited as an NBA fan over the guys coming in through the ranks. I think that the NBA actually is in safe hands.
Well, in the Eastern Conference, there are games today. The 76ers are also coming up against Orlando Magic. Pistons are also be playing on home court against the Cavaliers. We've seen how the 76ers have started the season together with the Cavaliers.
Yes,
Cavaliers.
Quentin Grimes. That was the name I was looking for. Yeah, Quentin Grimes. Yeah, Quentin Grimes. Yeah.
So the Cavaliers also how they have started the season, but the Chicago Bulls also how they have started really well. So these games are going to be on tonight in the NBA. There's already earlier today it was the Clippers getting that win against the Trailblazers, Sacramento Kings losing to the Lakers as we said earlier on in the West. But in the East there's Pistons against the Cavaliers. Also there's the Philadelphia 76ers against Orlando Magic.
Well,
now, let's move on. We talked earlier on about the reports concerning news about betting and match fixing and all of that filtering into the NBA, influencing decisions and results, even players getting involved. The FBI is rumored to also be involved in some of these things. We don't know how concrete it is, but we know that with the influx of sports betting, companies sponsoring, football, basketball, and some of these things, there is always that high possibility that players will always be involved in some of these things. So, what's your overview of this whole situation?
Well, so the truth is that you had the FBI pick up Chauncey Billups. You understand? I mean, who is a Hall of Famer. For those of us who love basketball, that Detroit Pistons team that had Richard Hamilton and all of those other guys in there. Chauncey Billups was one of the main guys in there, and he won a ring. He actually won a ring, and I think was the finals MVP in that particular series. I mean, there was a Detroit Pistons team that rose in the early 2000s and dominated the NBA. Chauncey Billups was one of that, and he went on to have a fantastic. He's gone on to become one of the elite coaches in the NBA. So obviously, if you have the FBI picking him, that is big news. You understand? That is big news, and I think that it's in connection with betting around the game. So primarily they are looking at players getting injured. You understand? So there are all sorts of circles where people get to bet. So you can bet that a player will not show up, or he will probably walk off after X number of minutes and all of that. And then they are looking at all of these things. And then Terry Rozier is one whose career fascinates me. He's a shooting guard. He used to play with them for a long time with one of these teams, and recently to the Miami Heat. You understand? And then the fact that he was also picked up, and then did all of the things that he did, and they are under investigation. I mean, the NBA commissioner has come out to speak about it and confirmed that it is true that some of these investigations are ongoing, and they are trying to minimize the influence of betting companies in the game.
Yeah.
You know, I've always said that when you introduce all of these betting companies, and make no mistakes, they are the guys who pay the biggest money.
Yeah.
Understand? When you bring all of these betting companies into the game and they are contributing that much, obviously they are looking for loopholes. Obviously they are looking for where they can reap the most. You understand? And look, you can have 1,001 conspiracy theories out there that, oh, okay, this does not happen, this does not happen, this does not happen. But I can confidently tell you that in football, for example, when VAR was introduced, I told people that the VAR will become a den for criminals because people will hide behind the whole concept of the VAR and then inflict a lot of criminalities on human beings. You understand? You saw what happened in the Clásico yesterday. VAR was at work.
Yeah.
VAR was at work. And you've seen some of the decisions that have happened all throughout sports, all over the weekend. We can even probably zoom into this weekend and the things that have happened in sports regards all of these dubious decisions, all of these things that does not meet the eye. So I think that the FBI clamping down on some of these personalities, and these are two huge personalities in the NBA, one being a coach, one being an elite player, obviously the coach also being an elite player in his playing days. I think that this is not so good news for the NBA. But the truth is that these betting companies are targeting the mid-range people who a lot of people do not pay attention to.
Yeah.
So they are not looking at the top-end superstars or teams. You understand? So some of the teams in the middle brackets that you do not pay attention to, and they will cause a lot of harm to the human race. You understand?
Yeah.
I've met people who have said that they've stopped following sports because of betting, because they feel that a lot of the games, these games are rigged.
Okay.
They feel that a lot of the games these days are predetermined. You understand? So I mean, yeah, you cannot fault those conspiracy theorists, but I feel that the NBA needs to clean the game up, and then it needs to make sure that the purity of the game is held very high.
Well, guys, you remember I talked to you about Malibu restaurant at the start of the show. Let me tell you more about Malibu. And Malibu has some exciting packages for you. On Mondays, there is buy a dish from 200 cities and get 10% discount. So whatever dish you buy at Malibu restaurant from 200 cities and above, you get a 10% discount. And there's there's a jazz and reggae night on Tuesdays where you go and then you just have a relaxing atmosphere after work, or if you're on leave in a very nice ambience at Malibu. Wednesdays is karaoke night from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. There's Thursdays where you buy one and you get one free. So if you buy a mineral, you buy a drink, you buy water, you get one free. On Thursdays at Malibu, as we say, Malibu is Thursdays, and Thursdays is Malibu. So when you go there on Thursdays, you buy one, get one free. On Fridays is old school jams on Friday. So as we kickstart, our weekend, you go to Malibu and it's old school jams at Malibu. Saturdays is ladies' night out. So ladies' night, when you go there on Saturdays, for those of you who have some lovely ladies out there, you go to Malibu on Saturdays, you go have fun. If you don't have one, when you go there, you definitely get one because it's a lovely atmosphere where you meet lots of classy ladies, different races, different nationalities. You meet people from Cape Verde, you meet people from Ethiopia, like Lucky Likes, those kind of people. You meet a lot of them there, different shades, different colors, different tones. Just get your game on, and then you will meet lovely ladies there on Saturdays. And on Sundays, it's for family, and that's family gathering on Sundays at Malibu. So there's something for you every day of the week at Malibu restaurants. The details are on the screen, so you can call, you can place your reservations, you can call the restaurant, you can make your order for food to be delivered to you. Whatever you want at Malibu, you get it right there at Malibu Restaurant. They're located just behind the Amtrak head office at the Takrady Harbor area. And remember, Inkunim Phones is here with us, and whatever you want when it comes to accessories, when it comes to phones, high-end phones, mid-range phones, low-budget phones, whatever your budget is, you go to Inkunim Phones, you get something suitable for yourself together with the accessories, whatever it is that you need, you get it there at Inkunim Phones. So it's a lovely place to be with brilliant customer service. Just make your way there and tell them that it was recommended by the Sports 101 team. And as I said earlier on, you get interesting discounts from Inkunim Phones. So we move on to the conversation. Let's get straight into football action. But still on football, let me remind you that here on Sports 101, we have Pitchside. It's a show called Pitchside where we strictly talk about local football. So everything Ghanaian, everything local football, you catch it on Pitchside with Evans and his wonderful team. So for the trending Kumasi Asante Kotoko story, whatever they went to do in Africa, whatever their PRO is saying, I'm sure we all know what's going on in the Ghana Premier League. We know the issues with the Black Queens as well, refusing to train because of certain arrears. You catch all those exclusives on Pitchside here on Sports 101. But as it stands now, we are going back into our conversation where we'll be talking about the results from the top leagues across Europe. And where best to start? The Premier League. Manchester City lost. Liverpool lost. Chelsea lost. Man United, well, United were 4-2 winners against Brighton and Hove Albion at Old Trafford. This is a team that has been a boogie team for Manchester United in recent seasons. But we'll get into how Amorim is getting it right. If you watch the game, you see certain changes in, irrespective of the fact that it's the same formation, you will notice certain dynamics have changed. So Kofi will give us certain insights into what happened with Manchester City, what happened with Chelsea, what happened with Liverpool. Tottenham were also winners yesterday away from home. They got a brilliant win. That game was an away game. Spurs against Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Yes. And we'll talk about the Man United game and some of the other results. Then we'll get into the Italian Serie A. We didn't expect Napoli to beat Inter Milan, but they did. As for Como, going away from home at Parma, they were able to get a point there. We'll talk about the Clásico as well in the Spanish La Liga. It was Real Madrid 2, Barcelona 1. So there's still lots to discuss here on Sports 101. Another quick turnaround. When we get back, it's football time. Well, guys, welcome back. It's still Sports 101 here on YouTube. Remember to subscribe, like, share, comment on whatever we are discussing. Let's know your thoughts. Let's know your opinion on all the topics we are discussing. Let's get straight into the conversation, Kofi. It was an interesting weekend in the English Premier League. So we'll take it league by league. Let's start with the Premier League.
Oh, Amorim. Oh, Amorim. Oh, Amorim. You know, the area boys have composed a song for Ruben Amorim.
So that's the song.
Are you not entertained? No.
Oh, I was entertained. It was a brilliant.
Oh, Amorim. Oh, Amorim. You know, I've always told you guys that relax for my man.
Who is your man?
Ruben Amorim. The guy is a genius, an absolute genius. And so, because of this guy, you are excited almost every Monday. These days, your weekends are amazing. These days, your weekends are lit up because you watch the kind of orgasmic football. You watch the kind of intricacies that play out when Manchester United are playing. And then you look at the players, special players. Special players.
What a time it is to be a United fan.
Man. Man. And all of a sudden, the area boys are excited because now a lot of the naysayers are getting over and crossing to the other side.
But some say it's just 3 wins.
Yes, it's just 3 wins. But you and I are pundits, and we look beyond just the wins. We look at the little details. We look at the things that we have talked about. We look at the things that we have complained was absent from Manchester United. We look at the culture. We look at the attitude of the players. We look at the work rates of the players. And look, beginning of season, it was about the formation. We do not have the right players to play the formation. But we've always spoken about the fact that a good coach has to find a way of finding the right balance between the materials that he does have and then getting the results that he wants to get. And you look at Amorim, like you said in your synopsis, he's made subtle changes probably a lot of people are not paying attention to, like switching this guy Dalot to the left back, you understand, or the left wing back, and then playing Ahmad at the right wing back, and then having all of Luke Shaw is a constant in there, and then either way you would have to Luke Shaw together with Delate constant in there. Then you would either play a Euro, you would play a Maguire, whichever is available. You understand? And in the midfield, it looks like Casemiro is slowly but surely reasserting the kind of dominance that we've known him to have. You understand? He's bringing up a lot of Bruno Fernandes. And, the thing that excites me now, it's not just about the defense and the shape of the team. It's about the personnel that play in the team. It's about the personnel that especially play up front for Manchester United. And that's what gets me excited. Benjamin Sesko, Matheus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, what's the name of the other guy again? And I mean, all of the guys playing at the front three, amazing. And look, this weekend I was excited because for a long time I've not seen Manchester United players work this hard, play for the badge. You understand?
Yeah.
Love playing for the fans. And that's what gets me excited. And I am especially happy for all of the boys in there now. I'm happy for Ruben Amorim. I think that I saw Ratcliffe together with Omar Berrada in the stands over the weekend. I'm thinking that they're excited with what happens. And this United project is a work in progress. The scary part is that if United are able to find the right players for some of the positions, we find a bit problematic. And I think that we've all agreed that the Casemiro role needs to be looked at again. The Casemiro personality needs to be looked at again. If United are able to find a suitable replacement for Casemiro, this team is going to break bones. It's going to move mountains. This team is going to go straight to the top. And this team already has some sort of vibe about it because of the characters. Look at the goal that Matheus Cunha scored. Look at the 2 goals of Brian Mbeumo. Look at the work rates of Benjamin Sesko. Look,
They got an assist.
Yes, I mean, the last time when I told you that in the past I had to be tortured with having to watch Lukaku lead the lines for Manchester United, a lot of people were not excited about that comment, that they felt I was being a bit too harsh on Lukaku. But you look at Lukaku and then you look at Benjamin Sesko, north and south, miles apart, class, touch, brilliance, intelligence. Look, if you're a United fan, you need to be excited. And the fact that they were able to put Brighton in their place, the fact that they were able to do all the things that they did and do it in the manner they did, I couldn't have been more excited. And I think that it was a well-deserving performance and an amazing 3 points for Manchester United over the weekend. But there's a reason why you need to listen to the show. On this show on Thursday, we pressed the prompt button and told Chelsea fans that, listen, be wary of Sunderland. You know, it was a battle of the sixes. Two teams that have won the league 6 times apiece.
Yeah.
And so virtually Chelsea have their mates in Sunderland in terms of the context of the league. You understand, they are not any better than Sunderland in the context of the league. So it was virtually a battle of the sixes. You understand? And in that battle of the sixes,
He's restless wherever he is.
in the battle of the sixes, Sunderland went to Stamford Bridge and did the unthinkable. I wouldn't say did unthinkable because I look at this Chelsea team and I'm surprised that I will actually be surprised if you still hold the opinion that Chelsea can win the league title. You understand? I went to Stamford Bridge, did the unthinkable. They played and matched Chelsea boot for boot, and at the end of the day, were able to demolish and were thwart the plans of Chelsea, beating them with that last minute goal. You know, there is something that is really, really very, very unique about this Chelsea team.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of good players in this Chelsea team. They do not have players who can stand out and carry the rest of the team along. If you take away Cole Palmer and then you take away probably, I mean, look, I've always mentioned my admiration for somebody like Reece James and Caicedo, but you know, these are not players who can necessarily go ahead and affect the game in the manner that we think they have to. You understand? But you look at the Chelsea players in the past, you had proper match winners. But I look through this Chelsea team, there are no really special match winners in this team. And that's why what I find a bit problematic about this Chelsea
Could
team.
it be the issue of injuries? You have Delap out injured. There's Kopama, who is the main creative player for Chelsea. He's also out. He's practically the biggest match winner that Chelsea have. And so this could also be one of the reasons why Chelsea might be struggling in that regard.
Well, I think for all the names you have mentioned, I mean, the one that stands out, and we all agree, has to be Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is a proper baller. He's a proper match winner. You understand? He's one of those characters in that dressing room who can carry the rest of the team along and then get them to have 3 points, even when they are not playing so well. You understand? So I think that he's the one that stands out from amongst the players. But to be able to have all of those elements in there, they need more than a Cole Palmer. I think they need more characters like Cole Palmer in that dressing room.
But you see, let's go back to the United issue. If we talk about characters, this is something that Chelsea is lacking. We saw the issue of characters for United. We saw something that United has been lacking. When you have big name players like Mbomo together with Cunha, they have the temperament to play for the club. We've seen Casemiro come in and then regain his form. Again, where the issue is now is when Casemiro went off, United were short or lightweight in midfield. And then Dogu came on and then he cost United a goal. And then we saw, Kobe Menu also come on until Ugarte also came on. But you see, could it be that these are some of the issues with this United side in terms of character, in terms of players that can actually fit in? Because we notice when Amorim makes changes to certain areas, the front line, perfect. But that midfield, and then when he touches the defense, that's where United are lightweight. And so in terms of that area, how does United sustain this if it happens that United gets an injury crisis? What does he do? because we've seen the importance of some of the players that understand the system. A player like Kobe Minu, for example, he's a brilliant player, but he struggles in the midfield too because he's slow, because maybe he cannot cover as much ground, or he doesn't really understand playing in that role as much as Casemiro has adapted to. We saw United defend practically with the 4-back. If you really watch, Luke Shaw always stepping out of that back three, and then you have, Cunha, Mbeumo dropping infield, and then you could see, Bruno Fernandes being given that freedom to move around. And so when Luke Shaw joins in that midfield together with Casemiro, then they make it compact. They close down those spaces in midfield. Except you were not paying attention. You would have seen that role that Luke Shaw played. And it means that Diogo Dalot was practically covering in that role. And then you have maybe a Cunha going out wide and covering. So those little bit of tactical changes that the coach has made, if you have players being substituted, it affects the team.
Yeah.
And so this is where United also need to look at, because now here's a case where you have Harry Maguire's contract being run out. If he doesn't get renewed, the same with Luke Shaw, Casemiro. So it's a trend. It's something that we are looking at. If these players now are out of this United side, then it becomes a problem if United do not find the right replacement. So just maybe the point is United fans should not get too excited, because we saw certain kind of weaknesses when Amorim made changes, and that's what drew Brighton back into the game.
Well, I think interesting, perfect submission over there. I also saw the examples you've cited. I saw the role that Luke Shaw has to play in this particular team. Luke Shaw in that squad is one of the technically most blessed players, you understand? So his ability to read the game, his ability to be calm even under the severest of pressure is something that is very much underrated. And so for him stepping out of the back three and then joining in the midfield,
knowing when to do that.
Exactly. I mean, it's a skill, you understand? And then people take some of these things for granted, but if you followed football for a while, you realize that legends like Beckenbauer, there's a reason why they play the sweeper role. You understand? So if you have a back three like this, someone needs to be a sweeper. Someone needs to be that point where the midfield merges with the defense. And it has to be someone who is technically very good, someone with the ball at his feet is very comfortable. You understand? And luckily in that squad, I think Licha can do what it is that Luke Shaw does. You understand? Because Licha or Lisandro Martinez is also very good with the ball, technically very sound, and is able to spot a very good passer of the ball. I've even advocated that if he does come back from injury, I am even advocating that he plays in that midfield role the way Casemiro plays. You understand? I've seen him play there for Ajax, and I'm very sure that with the kind of physicality that you need and the kind of mobile attributes that you need to play in that role, I'm very convinced that he can play that role. But when you look at all of the examples you have cited and then all of the observations that you have made, the truth of the matter is that the other players in the squad need to step up. You understand? I mean, Ugarte, Kobe Menu, these are guys who need to step up and then become part of the future that Man United wants to build. Because truth is that now Ratcliffe is at control. He's in control over everything. You understand? And the last thing that he wants to do is to hire a coach and then have the blood of the coach on his fingers. You understand? Or on his hands. So all of the people who are Jason Wilcox, all of the people who are managing Manchester United now, they know that this will define their reign, being handlers of Manchester United's football portfolio. You understand? So it's something that I think that every player at Manchester United now knows that they are playing for their futures. You understand? I've already heard talks about the fact that Harry Maguire is almost on the verge of being given a new contract because he deserves it, because he's been an outstanding performer for Manchester United, because every time he's played on the field, he is giving reason for people to believe that he is somebody who you need to have in the squad. You understand? So I think that the onus lies on the other squad players. Ugarte was bought for that role. You understand? Ugarte was supposed to be the natural successor for Casemiro. He was bought for that role. Sadly, he's come in and not performed at the levels that we expect him to perform. You understand? Kobbie Mainoo is an exciting, young, talented player, but he needs to be disciplined enough. He needs to understand what it is that the coach... And I have huge ambitions for Kobbie Mainoo. I think that eventually his head will be straightened properly, and then he will have a big future in this new look Manchester United squad. Dogu was also bought as the first choice left wing back. But look, when you have a squad where competition is prime, you understand, where you play for positions and then you are not guaranteed a position every week because the coach bought you and because the coach favors you and all of that. This is what we expect. And I think that Dogu is an excellent player. I've seen him play for Denmark. I've seen him play for his previous club, even some of the performances for Manchester United earlier in the season. But he also needs to keep a cool head. He is still a very young player. He's learning. Probably him being usurped by Dalot is getting into his head. But he needs to cool down. He needs to make the right decisions. But altogether, I'm excited about what the future holds for Manchester United.
Well, Man United are up to 6th position. On Saturday, they were 4th, but the other results, United are up to 6th in the league, which is something that United fans haven't seen for a very long time. Well, United are 6th, just a point behind Sunderland in 4th, Spurs in 3rd, level on points with Manchester City, who lost that game, and just 6 points behind league leaders Arsenal. For Man United, 3 wins on the bounce. The next game is away to Nottingham Forest. A lot of fans would think that that is a winnable game. Then away to Spurs, very difficult game, and then home to Everton. Well, for United, I think that they are benefiting, from not playing in Europe. So you have all week to train, and then Amorim has a lot more time on the training ground with his side. We can't downplay the importance of that. So United fans had a wonderful weekend, but Liverpool fans cannot say same. It's 4 wins, 4 matches on the bounce, 4 losses in a row for Liverpool. Are they in crisis?
I think they are. Yeah, Liverpool are in crisis. And, they are not just in crisis. They are in crisis because they are falling off too fast, too quickly. And they are shipping in loads of goals. I think Liverpool have conceded like 200 goals. You understand? No. I mean, I struggle to remember the last time Liverpool kept a clean sheet. And point is simple. I think that Liverpool need to get their acts together, because I've always said that the EPL is ruthless, it is quick, and it is unforgiving. If you think that everybody is going to sit along and wait for you to put your house in order, then you are going to be in a big mess when the final clarion call comes calling. Point is simple. Liverpool are not that intense. They are not defending well. And key elements in that team are not performing to the best of standards. That's a defending champion should be performing at. Look. Goalkeeper is out. This goalkeeper they have brought. His name is a mouthful. I wouldn't even try to mention it. His name is a mouthful. So, he very good goalkeeper. But look, the 4 defensemen, terrible. I do not know one of them. I do not know one of them that will get into the Arsenal team. I don't know one of them that will get into the Arsenal team. And I mentioned the Arsenal team because slowly but surely, whether you like it or yes, Arsenal is becoming the SI unit. Not just because of their footballing or their result. In terms of the defense, they have become one of the stalwarts when it comes to having what it takes to have a good defense. Not one of the Liverpool back four, together with the goalkeeper, will get into the Arsenal team. And that is very worrying. Frimpong, Konate, Van Dijk, Kekes. I don't want to talk about Kekes because I must sound a broken record. Padino Nimbobo. Onimbobo. End of story.
He scored a goal over the weekend.
No, that you score a goal does not mask all of the difficulties that you have at defending. You understand? I think that Kekes, just like Alexander Arnold, terrible defender, good offensive outlet, but terrible defender, cannot defend to save his life. So Liverpool have a problem there. And look, if you look through the midfield, Gravenberch is out injured. They are so easy to play through. So easy to play through. And then the front three. I don't want to talk about weight.
And the coach keeps tossing and turning Szoboszlai in the game. He plays about 3 different positions every game.
And I think it's worrying Liverpool because, look, the guy can be a jack of all trade.
Starts in midfield, plays at
plays
right back,
sometimes plays. I think that you need to find a locked position for the guy. The guy is a very good player. I mean, captain of Hungary.
You might say because of the injury situation at Liverpool. That's why.
No, but the point is that, for example, you have all of these. You have Bradley at right back. You have Frimpong. They are not injured. So sometimes the question is, why do you want to still play Szoboszlai at right back? This is quite problematic. You understand? So I think that he needs to look at the team. But the point is simple. Sammy, I do not think that Slot is who we think that he is. At the end of the season, I told you point blank that Slot is not a good coach. And I honestly think that time is vindicating some of the stances that I had. You understand? Because I look at the guy now, he's clueless what is happening to Liverpool now. He cannot simply arrest the situation. Because, look, if you have a team that is constantly shoring up goals, and then you cannot map up a strategy to make sure that your defense is not exposed. You cannot map up a strategy to make sure that you are not leaking goals. Because if you are not leaking goals, at least you are guaranteed a point. But if you are leaking goals, then you are in big trouble.
Arsenal are not scoring so much in the league.
No, but they are tight defensively.
They are not conceding.
So I think that Liverpool needs to look at the whole technical thing again, because for me, Slot is not really earning his wages at Liverpool.
Manchester City also went away at Villa Park and they lost by a 1-0 goal. Matty Cash.
Good results for Aston Villa. I think we mentioned on Thursday that it was going to be a proper test for City. And yes. I think that they showed yesterday. I mean, Onana was man of the match yesterday, putting a solid performance in midfield, and the whole of the Villa back four together with the midfield worked really hard. They kept stifling the offensive players of City and kept denying them the ball. At the end of the day, I think that it was a game where City had to play attack, and then Villa had to play defense. But City look like they do not have those kind of players who can just turn the whole of the defense on. They do not have a Kevin De Bruyne. I saw your friend come in, and the boy from the French Ligue 1, Ryan Cherki come in and then try to do some magic in there, but it did not work. Bernardo Silva was simply Mamouche. Tottenham, especially when you know they have to combine
Champions
European football with domestic football. I think that, I mean, it's a bit of asking too much for a squad as thin as Tottenham. So you look at the dynamics, and I want to think that these teams. I think that you have City, which will go ahead and challenge. I still think they have quality enough to match Arsenal boot for boot. I do not see Liverpool competing. Chelsea, they might probably pick some streak of form, but I think that they do not have that level of quality to effectively sustain that kind.
Papa Ibusuya, he says, please, I'm the one doing, I'm the one doing Liverpool. So, well, Blazers also says that the American sports is a predetermined sport, especially on special occasions, either in the country or the specific team. For instance, anytime there's NT in NFL teams, anytime there's NT in NFL, teams accrue a lot of points. So that's his own observation. Papa Bushan also comes to say that this life, imagine it's Chelsea or Man United who has bought these players and had this stinking form by Liverpool. Like, the world would have killed us. That's actually true. United lose one game and the media is all over the manager and the team. Liverpool lose 4 in a row and nobody's talking about it.
Nobody's even talking
So
about them.
well, I think that's a brilliant observation. Bingles also says he's enjoying the show from Reese Course. And then Amorim is balling. Mr. Legend says, this is a good Man United squad. The only problem is the toxicity that surrounds the team. Is there still toxicity around the team?
Well, I think they are trying to create a new culture, and
So the likes of Sancho, Rashford will not. And Sancho, talking about Sancho, we saw him over the weekend.
yeah,
He was substituted in and substituted out in that game.
that guy has issues.
Well, the United fans, whether they would like to see Sancho or Rashford, but we'll talk about Rashford in a bit. Liverpool have only 2 assured centre backs in Virgil van Dijk and Konate. One of them to get injured will be a disaster. Only God can save Kekes as a defender. He is really, really terrible at defending. I agree with you on that one. Kekes, what's Sambruta? Kekes, Milos, that's his name, Milos Kekes.
Yeah, Milos Kekes.
Milos Kekes. And let's go into quickly into the Italian Serie A. We had a conversation about the Serie A. We talked about Napoli and Inter. That was a big game of the weekend.
Yeah.
And we saw what happened. Napoli were able to get a result against this Inter side that we thought would get 3 maximum points. Juventus also, not surprising per se, losing away at Lazio.
Well, Napoli keep making some of us look like we don't. They keep rubbishing some of the claims that we make because I was of the firmest belief that they Inter Milan will go there and get some level of results. But this Napoli teams looks like it's built for the biggest of games. You understand? I mean, because we've all talked about their form recently.
Yeah.
We talked about the capitulation in the Champions League against PSV.
Yeah.
And then for them to come back and do what they did to Inter, that's a major psychological blow
I
to
think
Inter
to have
Milan.
McTominay back in the team.
Yeah.
You saw him with 2
Yeah.
goals in the
Yeah.
Champions League. He
Yeah.
got a goal again
Yeah.
against Inter. To
Yeah.
have him back in the team is a big boost for them.
Well, I think he's become an integral member of that team. And no wonder he was MVP last season.
Yeah.
He was in the shouts for Ballon d'Or running. we all know he couldn't have won, but at least he was in the shouts. It does a lot of boosting to his confidence. But I think that Napoli won the game because of their coach, because of the experience that Conte has, because of what it is that he brings to the table, because of the wealth of experience that he's been able to garner all these years coaching. The Inter manager done well succeeding Simeone Inzaghi, but does not have that level of experience. And you could tell in the lineup, you could tell in the course of the game that this was Conte who was experienced, and so some of the things were not really new to him. You understand? So I wasn't too surprised that he eventually had to get one over Inter Milan, but that was a very good win by Inter Milan over Napoli. You understand? And Juventus also going to lose. Juventus are blowing hot and cold. Blowing absolutely hot and cold. I mean, against Lazio, you would expect that they will go there and get some level of results, but they go there. They are blown apart. You understand? And then Como have really surprised me this
Just
season.
2 points
But
off the Champions League.
but I am not too surprised because they have a very good coach. They have good players who understand the system that they play, and they slowly but surely they are very good players. You understand? I think slowly but surely they are establishing a new order. If they get the level of finance that the other teams get, they are really going to be a bother in the context of the Serie A.
Well, Napoli are back on top of the Italian Serie A on 18 points, followed closely by AS Roma, also on 18 points. Just goals difference separate these two sides. AC Milan also starting the season really well on 17 points. There's Inter, after losing, dropped to 4th position and now on 15 points. Bologna on 14. Como in that 6th position on 13 points. Just 2 points behind Inter in that Champions League position. Maybe we might just see a miracle. Fabregas might just lead this Como side into Champions League places. As it stands now, they are already in the Conference League place, which is a brilliant accomplishment for them if the season ends in this manner. So let's see how the Italian Serie A plays out. Juventus have been disappointing so far. They are somewhere in 8th position in the Italian Serie A. Lazio, same, in 10th position. Fiorentina have been very, very disappointing so far this season. Yes, they are somewhere in 18th position in that relegation battle. So they are down there in 18th position. So let's see how the Italian Serie A plays out. But the biggest game of the weekend was yesterday at the Santiago Bernabéu. It was Real Madrid against FC Barcelona. It ended 2-1. Kofi, what's the summary of that game?
The guy talked too much.
Which guy?
And didn't show up on the pitch. Lamine,
man.
I think he needs to be controlled. I honestly think he needs to be controlled. And if there are any Barcelona fans out there, I don't know how you can get the message across, but I think that the ego of Lamine Yamal is coming too much at play.
He's a kid and he's not being guided.
Yeah,
his father even came out to post.
Yeah, I mean,
after that game.
I think that he needs to find a very professional entity around him. The people around him now are not doing him a lot of favors at all, because look, we've seen big players go out there, make a lot of noise, and then deliver on the pitch. But this season, I was one to tell you that I do not think that he will get the level of success that he did last season. This season, he's talked more than he's delivered performances on the pitch. I struggle to find one game that he's put his footprints on this season, and I think that I think it's becoming quite a problem for me, because Carreras really played him very well and made sure that he did not really cause a lot of damage to Real Madrid. But that said, like we said over the course of last week, you realize that yes, Barcelona were going to miss a lot of bodies, but that is no excuse. It's the reason why you have a 23-man squad. It's the reason why you have other people stepping in and doing the job for others when they are injured. But from the very blast of the whistle, Real Madrid were intent on getting the 3 points. Played very well. First time I've seen Real Madrid play with 4 midfielders, and then you realize that those midfielders stepped in and did jobs that other people had to do when they had to do what they had to do. You understand? And then I think that we cannot say any less about Kylian Mbappe. And then the whole officiating thing in Spain, for me, it's quite a bother. I mean, for me, it's just a big bother because I look at the whole officiating thing in Spain and some of the decisions that were taken and some of the decisions that were annulled and all of those other little intricacies. I become a bit disturbed with this whole thing happening in Spain. But all said and done, it was not so good a game, but the quality players shown. And I think that the better team won it eventually.
We saw Barcelona employ the high line as usual. Real Madrid had about 2 goals chalked off offside. Very, very close calls as a result of that Barcelona high line. We saw how Hansi Flick played. And more importantly, we saw the fracas after the game. And this is all coming from this Lamine Yamal situation. We've seen Carvajal, who is one of the big boys in the Spanish national team. Lamine Yamal is one of the young guys in the Spanish national team. If things like this could happen, we've heard the likes of Pedri and all of that come out to say that some of these things should be sorted out in the dressing room because they are international team. I think Frankie de Jong, they are international teammates and all of that. The Lamine Yamal situation with and look, I'm not going to mince words here. I would totally hold him 100% responsible because he was the one who made comments before the game.
Yeah.
When he was asked in that interview, he made certain comments that you might say are unsporting-like, very arrogant. And, you know, the Madrid players will keep quiet, but after they had gotten the result against you, then they will have a go at you. We saw Vinicius, albeit I think Vinicius overdid everything that he did, even when he was substituted off. But you could see that it was something that they were waiting to do. And so if Carvajal would react in that manner, you could see Vinicius, you could
Courtois.
see Thibaut Courtois, and even Lamine Yamal himself still having a go at them and all of that. It does something not so good to that Spanish dressing room because this is a World Cup here. You have, we've seen how England have been affected by some of these things. The likes of Ramos, the likes of Piqué during that time of Clásico, it was war. But we know how it was in the dressing room, in the Spanish dressing room. But this time around, it looks like the energy is much more negative because if they could have a go at each other in that manner, now you are preparing for the World Cup and you have the same Lamine Yamal in that Spanish dressing room that comprises some Real Madrid players. How does that work out for Spain?
Well, I think that's where somebody needs to step in and then curb the situation because from where I sit, it doesn't look too good. You understand? I mean, this kid is overstepping his boundaries. Kid is really overstepping his boundaries. And the point is simple. Once you do all these things that you are doing and then you get all of this attention that you are getting, you put your teammates under pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, because the comments that he passed, totally unnecessary, totally avoidable. And then you put everyone else under pressure. Because, look, the Madrid boys decided not to respond before the game.
Yeah.
But yet, like you said, obviously, so you realize that there was already a cavalry in the stands.
Yeah.
You realize that any time Lamine had the ball,
He was good.
the spectators were booing him and all of those other things. It does not bode well for the outlook of the Spanish national team. Because, look, if you can make such disrespectful comments about your fellow professionals, that Real Madrid, they are cheats, they like to bribe referees, sort of, you understand, and they are paying their way through games, sort of, you understand. Those are not comments that you expect to be coming out from another professional
And
to another
these are the
professional.
same fans in the Bernabeu that would have to back you and support you at the World Cup.
That's the point.
Because you are going to play for the national team.
That's the point. So I think that
there are certain comments that an international player shouldn't make.
No, you don't make those
like
comments. You don't put yourself in that situation. I think that in as much as the boy is talented, the boy has the world at his feet, seemingly. If the people around him do not curb some of these negativities, I don't want to sound a prophet of doom, but we might not see the best out of Yamal. Some of these things might probably just come out and affect the whole outlook of his career or everything that he goes on to do eventually. I think that Yamal should be spoken to, and then Barcelona, if they can, need to really get a set of professional people around him, because his dad and the people who manage him are not really helping situations.
My main problem will have to do with his dad, because even after the game, he had a post on Instagram
saying he's only 18.
He's only 18, and then they would
come to
Barcelona in the return leg and all of that. So when you do that, you only
fuel some of these
empower
things.
The player to misbehave the more and fuel some of these things. I keep maintaining that Lamine is a young boy. He's 18 years old. He's acting his age. Some of these things, when you are exposed to some of these, wealth and attention, and then media exposure and all of that, sometimes people need to be managed. Even people that are mature, sometimes it gets into their head.
Yeah.
And so for a young boy at that age, he needs to be guided. And if you have even a father that is equally misbehaving the same way he is, and his mother, on the other hand, is also making business out of autographs and then selling what for lunch or dinner and all of that, I think that the attention has to be on the football pitch. Because look, if he has an idol like Lionel Messi, we didn't really hear Messi in the media. There are certain things that we heard that Messi did behind the scenes, but nobody necessarily has proof of it. Maybe in the dressing room. But Messi never came out in the media to make certain comments. He mostly did his talking on the pitch.
Yeah.
And so if you are Lamine Yamal and you're 18 years old, and then you have the world at your feet, I just feel that he needs to be guided. And because there's a thin line between that success and then you just being another wannabe player.
Yeah.
And it's more important because this is an international player. There's a difference between just being a football player, a professional player, and an international player. Because now you don't just play for one team. You play for your club side, and then you play for the national team. And so you should understand that when you step on toes with your club side, you are playing in the same country where at the end of the season, these same fans, these same other players are the same teammates and the same fans that would back you in an international competition. And so this is where that professionalism comes in. And I just feel that the people at Barcelona need to assist him. When you have an 18-year-old with his relationship all over the place in the media, nobody's saying you shouldn't have your relationship, but when there's that media scrutiny on you, sometimes it helps when you keep certain things on the low. There's this proverb I know. It says it does no good to spread a net when the bird you want to catch is watching. And so when the eye of the world is on you, when the media is on you and everything, of what good is it to have your business out there and always be now nobody's talking about, maybe last season a lot of people were talking about Lamine Yamal's talent and how good he is and all of that. Now when we mention Lamine Yamal, we are not talking about his football.
We are talking about the off the field shenanigans.
Exactly. And so that's where I feel that
problematic.
It's problematic, and it doesn't just affect the player, it affects the dressing room as well. We've heard about the contract that he's on now. There are certain players that will look at it and are not excited about the fact that Lamine Yamal is on a certain kind of contract.
I agree.
You look at the likes of Rafinha, who was practically the best player at Barcelona last season. And then we know the behind the scenes issues that came up. Lamine Yamal was pushed for the Ballon d'Or. He was offered a new contract, offered the number 10 jersey, all of that. And so when you look at all that and then you try to find that balance in the dressing room, I think Barcelona have their work cut out for them in terms of managing a player like Lamine Yamal.
Well, I think they need to do a lot more. We all agree on one thing, that there's a lot more that Barcelona needs to do. And if the kid will listen, that's another point. But I think that the stakes are higher for Barcelona and the Spanish national team. It doesn't have to be just about the choices of the little man. It has to be about the bigger picture, because truth also is that the world needs to enjoy the full talent of Lamine Yamal. You understand? So we do not want to get to that point where we have a career that was an almost career. I think that's just like Barcelona finally managed the career, obviously with Georgie being the dad of Lionel Messi. We need to have that kind of relationship where kids come through the ranks and then they are protected. The entity does a lot for them, and at the end of the day, the world needs to enjoy them, because we need so many of these players to step up and fill the vacuum that is about to be left. You understand?
Do you think that football has evolved? Because once upon a time, we had the way football was being run, where you have a manager that is in charge of football directing, is in charge of transfers, is in charge of Sir Alex Ferguson, typical example, Arsene Wenger, typical example. You could be a young player and even your teammates. I remember when Rooney talked about some of these things, the young boys in the dressing room, some come in with a certain car and then they are cautioned.
Yeah.
And Sir Alex will tell you to send it back, return it. When Giggs bought a certain car, he was trying to hide it. Rooney mentioned some of the young guys like Jesse Lingard and all those guys looking to go in for certain things, and he had to step in and advise them. Until you've played a certain amount of games for the club, you don't come out and then flaunt certain kind of wealth.
Agree.
But nowadays you don't get to see managers stepping in and then trying to control what even the personal lives of players.
Well, I think it's down to the culture. We speak about culture, but I think it's down to the culture. It's down to what it is that exists in football today. You understand? In the past, I mean, the manager was the leader of that dressing room, and at the end of the day, everything had to happen in the confines of the dressing room. Yes, you had your teammates being
they could even tell you not to date a specific kind of lady.
Yeah. I mean, you know the issues regards even somebody like David Beckham and he's dating of one of the Victoria Spice Girls. You understand? Victoria of the Spice Girls. We all know some of the things that went down. You understand? So I think that it's down to what it is that exists in football today. The culture, everything around it, what it is that we are telling some of these young boys, the kind of things that we are exposing them to, the kind of power that we are making them wield, it is the reason we have gotten to this point. But I pray that, Lamine will not find himself in that scenario, and then we get to enjoy the best of Lamine Yamal.
Well, Jeff says Lamine, he doesn't have sense. EKK Blazers also says yesterday Kamavinga showed his quality in the midfield and wings. Lamine Yamal's case is beyond ego. We've seen Cantona, Ibrahimovic, CR7 with their ego being football related, for which we talk about, but his is unfiltered, immature words unrelated to his football talent. Exactly what we are talking about.
I agree.
And so, well, for the Barcelona fans, I don't know if you would agree with some of what we're saying, but the summary is that these are unnecessary distractions that you don't want to have in the dressing room at your club. It's been an exciting show here on Sports 101. Myself and Kofi were here on set. I've seen some of you asking about Osofo Lucky. Lucky He's been a prodigal son. We don't know where Lucky is. So maybe we would have to make an official complaint. So if Lucky is listening, we don't know where you are. But I know Lucky is available. Lucky is fine. He's been active on the group, so he's dealing with some personal things. So Lucky will join us hopefully in the next live stream. And so join us in the next episode. As I said earlier on, remember the show is proudly brought to you by Malibu. And remember, Malibu is Thursdays, and Thursdays is Malibu. Malibu Restaurant is located at Harbour area, Takrady, just behind the Antrak building. So you can go there, whatever you want. They have an excellent menu for you, whether it's continental dishes, foreign dishes, whatever it is that you need at Malibu for your best drinks, whatever kind of atmosphere you want, rooftop, downstairs, restaurant style vibe, whatever it is that you want, Malibu is the best place to be. And don't forget, Inkunim Phones is holding us down with our technology here for Sports 101 production. So go to Inkunim Phones, ask of Shadrach. He's the boss there. He'll take care of you. Whatever your budget is, you get something that fits you and suits you at Inkunim Phones. So whether it's high-end phones, the iPhone 17s, whatever iPhones you're looking for, whatever Samsung flagship phones that you want, whether it's mid-range phones with your Infinix and your Technos and whatever it is, you can get the other high-end phones like the Google Pixel Pro and all of that. They are all there. Everything you need is there. If you want a low-budget phone, if your budget is not really up there and you want something really, really nice and presentable, you will find everything there at Inkunim Phones, together with the accessories, the cases, the protectors, the chargers, everything you need. You will find it there at Inkunim Phones. It's just at the Takrady Market Circle. The contact is on the screen. You can pick the numbers there and call or text or make your inquiries. Just tell them that you heard about them from Sports 101. You get an interesting discount at Inkunim Phones, just adjacent the Bank of Africa Takrady Market Circle. And finally, the Fantasy Premier League is still ongoing, as I told you earlier on. And so if you haven't hopped on the Sports 101 Fantasy Premier League action, the code is on the screen. It's not too late to join. Just join the Fantasy Premier League and then compete for exciting prizes at the end of the season. Let's see how the season goes. Let's see how good you are when it comes to Fantasy Premier League. It's been a brilliant show. Kofi has been here with me. And thank you guys for your views, your comments, your reactions, and your suggestions. We'll be back on Thursday for another live edition of Sports 101. Remember, I told you about Pitchside. For everything local sports that you want, Pitchside is the show to follow on Sports 101. We'll be giving you more on Pitchside with Evans Kwanzaa and also Fan Zone that is upcoming. So there's a lot more for you on the Sports 101 channel here on YouTube. Until Thursday, keep it safe.